Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Selman. I'm the joyful widow of widow coaching, and I happen to be a Christian business and life coach for female entrepreneurs and widows. I live in the United States, and I want to thank Beatrice for inviting me to be a guest presenter this month. We are talking about money this month, and so I've been presenting. We started last week. This is week 2 of 4 weeks. I've been training from a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And if you weren't able to see my training from last week, I encourage you to go back and watch that because it lays the foundation about our money mindset and why it's so important that we have good, positive thoughts around money. This is my green stuff from the United States. You have yours. But if we do not have good, positive thoughts around money, it's going to prevent us from being rich or wealthy. Now, I want to make it really clear in this book, if you happen to ever get the book and you don't need the book, you could probably go online and get a lot of the information about it. But it's a fascinating book around our thoughts on money. And it's been very helpful for me. I've read this many times. I'm doing it again because I really needed a reset. Now that I'm in my 4th year of widowhood, I realized that my thoughts on money had really changed since my husband got sick and passed away 4 years ago. And so I needed a reset if I was going to reach the goals that I had for myself. And just so you know, yes, having money is important. If anybody tells you it's not important, you look at them and go, really? You must be broke. You must not have any money. I mean, and we want money, of course, for things for ourselves, right? But it's so important that we know about once we become rich or wealthy, what more will we do with our money? What else will bring us satisfaction? Because there's only so many toys you can have, so many vacations you can go on. I mean, as long as our necessities are met, I believe, for me at least, that, I want to be giving back with my money. And there's so many ways that we can do that. It's more sometimes than just handing out money. We're called in the Bible to use our time, talent, and treasure. This is our treasure, but also our time and our talent, what we are experienced at, what are our spiritual gifts. It's just as important that we are using those and giving those back as well to those that may need some help. So here's what I want to do today. I'm going to quickly just review what a money mindset is all about and how we create our money blueprint. And then I'm going to go into the second part of this book, which is it's called the Wealth Files. There are actually like 17 of them. We won't have time to cover them all. But so what I'm going to be doing is just taking a couple for the next 2 weeks after today, covering those and then giving you some action steps that you can take so that you can start changing the way you are looking at money. So you can start getting the results that you want around money. Does that sound fair enough? Okay. Good. All right. So part 1 of this book, just a quick review, is on our money mindset. And what happens is when we're growing up, this is where it all starts, is we see things, we hear things, or we personally experience things that create what's called our money blueprint. And our money blueprint becomes like a file. And we put that file into the file cabinet in our mind. And so that when we have a financial decision to make, we go back into the file cabinet in our mind. We go, okay, let's pull out the file on money. What does it say about money? And this is where you have stored all those thoughts that you put together, the story you are telling yourself about money as you were growing up. And what influences is things that we saw, things that we heard, and things that we may have personally experienced. If you go back to my first training, I tell a little bit more about my story and how I created my blueprint just based on, my parents, what happened, things that happened to me. And then I had to go back and retrain myself and recreate the story, rewrite my blueprint so that now when I have to make a financial decision, I go in there and it's much easier. It's very clear for me. And I don't have the stress that I used to have money. And because of that, it's helping me to move closer to my financial goals. Now, sometimes in this book too, I just want to give you the heads up, is that the author, T. Harv Eker, is very succinct about rich people and poor people. And he doesn't do this by any means to put down poor people. He just wants to make a very clear, make it very clear to us so that we can see the differences. You see, I've been points of my life where I've had lots of these, and then I've had points in my life where I've maybe only had one or two of these. But if my mindset was good and clear and positive about money, even if I was very poor financially, I was rich in my mind when it came to money. Does that make sense to you? All right, so we need to be working on this money blueprint wherever we are financially right now. Fair enough? All right, that's what this is all about. So let's jump in today, and we're going to talk about two of the wealth files. And the first one says, and if you don't mind, I'm going to be reading from this because I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure you get every little good nugget here. Wealth file number 1, rich people believe I create my life, while poor people believe life happens to me. How many have ever said that? Yeah, it just happens. It just happens. And we use that as an excuse for why we are not where we want to be in life. Who can agree to that? I know I can. So let me read this to you. If you want to create wealth, it is imperative that you believe that you are at the steering wheel of your life, especially your financial life. If you don't believe this, then you must inherently believe that you have little or no control over your life, and therefore you have little or no control over your financial success. This is not a rich attitude. And so there are several reasons or ways that we create this attitude of life happens to me. First, we are the victim. Clue number 1 for being a victim is we blame others or we blame other things. I remember when my husband and I, the economy back, I think it was 2007, 2008, he lost his corporate job. Then we lost our home. We had a rental property. We lost that. Then we went through all of our savings trying to hold on to everything, and we lost that. And so I was blaming the government. I was blaming the economy. I used that blame game for many years, honestly, until probably about 5 years ago. And I decided, wow, Kathy, you have to quit blaming others. It is your thought that life happens to me instead of I'm going to create my life out of what did happen to me. So that was victim clue number 1. Some of us use this one. We justify. If victims aren't blaming, you'll often find them justifying, like money's not really that important. And that's where we say, really? I think it's pretty important to have this, don't you? I mean, we know when we only have one or maybe not even one of these, how difficult it is, right? And so to justify that it's really not important, we're really not being truthful with ourselves. Money is extremely important in the areas in which it works and extremely unimportant in the areas in which it doesn't work. Would you agree? I agree with that. And then the victim clue number 3 is we complain. I mean, who knows someone who is constantly complaining about not having enough money? I'm pretty sure I have been in one of these positions at some time in my life. I've either blamed someone or something, which I did. I've justified that I'm okay being broke, and I wasn't, or I was complaining. Wow, and nobody likes a complainer. I mean, okay, once in a while we're having a challenge, but what happens is when we become a living, breathing complainer, he calls it being a crap magnet. Excuse me if I offended you with that term, but we are. We are attracting crap, negativity, and people are repelled by that. And so I want you to think about if you happen to be one of those that is being a victim of why you are where you are. And so we're going to go through, at the end of each chapter, there are millionaire mind actions. So if you want to start creating wealth, you want to start having a more positive mindset about money, there are some action steps you can take. And so today, here is one of the assignments. Every time you catch yourself blaming, justifying, or complaining, I want you to slide your index finger across your neck as a trigger to remind yourself that you are slitting your financial throat. Once again, even though this gesture may seem a little bit crude to do to yourself, it's no more crude than you doing this to yourself of blaming, justifying, or complaining. And it will eventually work, honestly, to alleviate those destructive habits. It's just a little gesture. They say, no, I'm not going to blame, I'm not going to complain, and I'm not going to justify. Throw that stuff out, right? And then you can also do a debriefing. At the end of each day, write down one thing that went well and one thing that didn't. Then write the answer to the following questions. How did I create each of these situations? And if others were involved, ask yourself, what was my part in creating each one of these situations? This exercise will keep you accountable for your life and make you aware of the strategies that are working for you and the strategies that are not. So we're only going to actually cover one file today because I want you to actually do this homework. I want you to go back and check yourself and see if you are playing the blame game. See if you are using justification, or see if you are complaining about your money situation. And then please do the millionaire mindset action steps, so that if you are having challenges with this part of your financial life, you can start to make improvements. And so if you have done these things, I want you to put your hand over your heart, and you're going to do this with me. Put your hand over your heart and say, I create the exact level of my financial success. And then touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. We will do this at the end of each one of these wealth file trainings over the next 2 weeks. When we're doing these things physically, it really makes more of an impact when you're trying to make change. And I know that all of you are going to be working on this change so that you can go forward and start becoming a millionaire, being wealthy, being rich. So I would love to hear your comments below. If you're going to take these action steps, take me up on this challenge, and let me know how you're doing moving forward. This is Kathy Selma, the Joyful Widow of Widow Coaching. We will see you next week with our 3rd week of training on being a millionaire mind, okay? All right, see you all. God bless.